Humble service that doesn't turn you into a doormat. That's the topic we'll be exploring in this video. So, hi, I'm Sam. I'm the co-founder of Kingdom Impact Lab with my wife Tatum, and we are currently exploring how to pursue Christ-likeness in all areas of life, business, work, and the way that you act in the moment-to-moment decisions you make every single day. What does Christ-like look like? It is the pursuit of excellence in your character, excellence in your ability, and excellence in your integrity. It's the pursuit of extravagant love and operating on a principle of how can you be a blessing to as many people today rather than what can I get from them. It is having an attitude of humble service. It's operating on radical generosity, being generous with your time, resources, ideas, and it's having integrity even when it goes against your best interest. So in this video we want to explore the concept of humble service, and we want to explore how humility is not a weakness but it's actually a strength. And I want to share with you some practical ways that you can operate on humble service without being a doormat. So let's dive in. So one way to operate through the mindset of humble service is, well, let me share what I do. So a North Star guiding principle in Kingdom Impact Lab is that I want to treat each human made in the image of God with a unique set of skills, gifts and abilities, and it's my job to uncover what those skills and gifts are, and then to view that person as someone that I can learn from. It's me elevating the other person, regardless of who they are, to a higher position than I am, because their unique gifts and skills and life experience is something that I have not had, and therefore I can learn something from every person that I interact with. I go into the situation trying to learn from them, trying to be a blessing to them, and actually being grateful of their presence and actually being able to have a conversation with them. That is how I do it, and you can just have that mindset as well, and you then operate through for me personally, by trying to view the other person or the recipient as someone that I can learn from. It directs the way that I have the interaction and what I communicate with them, and that has transformed the relationships that I actually have, especially when you combine this with operating on extravagant love, where you set your aim to be a blessing to as many people as possible. Now, I also understand that there is a big issue here for a lot of people, and it's something that I kind of just became aware of yesterday, and that is that it's very different. Operating on humble service is very different for the business owner or the entrepreneur that's doing their own thing, where essentially you and your actions set and determine the culture and the environment you work in, compared to someone that is working for someone else, in operating in their ecosystem. And this was from a conversation I had with someone on LinkedIn who was saying how it's so hard for him to pursue Christ-likeness in his workplace, because his words were, because the people where he works expect you to brown nose the superiors, which basically you subordinate to them and you treat them like a king, and where people, it's a toxic work environment where people are just trying to find fault for the reason of finding fault. They're not supportive, these kind of environments. In a previous video I explained I told the story of how my sister-in-law recently moved to a different department in her place of employment, not by choice, and she now has to work with an accountant who is bossy and arrogant, and who goes around the office writing notes to people to remind them that you need to do this work by this date. rather than affirming what they're actually good at, and well, what can you do in that environment? And this has led me to a realization of, well, I haven't worked for someone else for well over 10 years. You know, I've started as a freelancer, I had a business marketing agency that didn't work, and now Kingdom Impact Lab. And so my perspective on things is very, very different from someone that's working in a work environment. And well, that's kind of given me the realization that perhaps what I need to be focusing on myself, and again, this is having that attitude of humble service, is maybe I just need to be focusing on who the people that I can actually help based on my direct experience, which is people that I'm operating in that have their own business, whether it's a big business or small business, and I can show them how to be Christ-like in what they do in their business and to set that culture, and also in the finances as well. And it means that I may not be the most qualified person in the world to help people pursue Christ-likeness in the workforce, because I don't have that direct experience. And this is humble, an attitude of humility, because I'm aware of what my weakness is, and I know that other people are better suited to do it, which means that when my community gets set up, I need to hire someone and to partner with someone who is an expert on how to navigate the workforce, to pursue Christ-likeness in the workforce, because I don't have that direct experience. So that's a bit of a side tangent, but that is something I'm currently wrestling with, and what I will be wrestling with in the coming days, weeks and months, in terms of who I help and why and how. And it's being aware of what your weaknesses are, because someone will be able to serve the people better than I am in this particular area, and I'm going to be better at focusing on business and finances, because that's what I'm practically doing myself day in, day out. So that's a side tangent. So what can you do? So humble service, ways to operate humble service would be, well, one is going to be view the other person as someone that you can learn from. Go into every interaction like that. What can you learn from them? Make the conversation, interaction about them. What can you learn from them? Okay, so let's get into the three notes I've had. It's doing the unglamorous tasks. So what this means is you can handle a small but necessary job that no one wants to touch. Well, there's different ways to look at this and different ways to explore this as a concept. So, first, in my day-to-day life, we have a 6-month-old baby. What's the most unglamorous task that you can do with a baby? Yep, you've got it. You change the nappies. I'm sure that most males and dads are the same. Most men are the same. That changing nappies is one of the most disgusting things that you can do, and we often call our wife to come and help us. Now, I have to admit, I'm happy changing the nappy when the baby has peed, but when it's the other one, it's not very good. I have to sort of stop myself from gagging, but in situations where I have to, I do it. That is an unglamorous task that I hate to do, but I do it if I have to. Also, if my wife is around, I will call my wife to do it for me, but then I do make up with all the other things that I do as well. So that is one example of an unglamorous task. Now, to put this into perspective, in terms of doing something like that, I know someone, and I won't mention names, but he's someone that's, well, let's just say that when his kids were young, he used to leave his young toddlers and in dirty soiled nappies until someone else came back to the house in order to change them. He wouldn't do it, he just left them as they were. Don't do that. If it's in the context of work or business, if there's certain tasks or activities that nobody wants to do, but you can do them, just do them. That's an act of humble service. It's kind of rolling your sleeves up and getting your hands dirty from time to time. Now, a key point on this, which I need to make, is for me personally, there's certain small tasks in my business that I try to do, but because it's not aligned with my strengths, I'm super unproductive at it, and it drives me insane just trying to do that. And then I get myself in a mess, and it takes me too much time to do, and then I get frustrated. In cases like that, if it's something that you are not most suited to do, it's also better just to give it to somebody else that is good at doing it. So you can prioritize on doing the things that you are good at to the best of your ability. So what I'm saying is that if you operate with an attitude of humble service and you're prepared to do the unglamorous tasks, if it's something that's going to make you unproductive because it's not within your skill set to do, and someone else is more suited for it, it is an act of humility to delegate. In the same way what I was saying earlier in the video with me, that exploring ways to be Christ-like within the workforce as someone that works for someone else, as an employee, might not fit my unique skill set. So it would be best to get someone who is better to do it for me. So the next thing is to make life easier for you and your team. That is an act of humble service. So this would be also efficiency, to try to make things more efficient as possible. Try to reduce wasted time with your team members. Try to come up with the SOPs, the templates, the processes of what to do, just to streamline the process. And quite frankly, if you are a business owner or if you're a manager and you have a team under executing your particular project, one of the biggest issues that causes conflict in this situation, which I am guilty of a lot, but now I'm aware of it, which means I'm proactively trying to improve, and that is, it's your communication skills, and in my case, my communication skills. I am not communicating clearly what I want, what I expect. The people that I'm helping you are not mind readers. A lot of the time, if they aren't getting the result you want, it's because they're unclear on what they need to do or what the outcome is. So if you want to make life easier for everyone, focus on getting your thoughts, ideas, communicate clearly. I understand. I'm working on that myself. So I know what it's like. But honestly, the 80-20 of anything you can do is to clarify. Because the clearer you are on what the outcome is, what you want, and the better you can communicate that to others, the better outcomes that you will have. And the third is serve without being in the spotlight, which again, this is serve without being in the spotlight. So before, this was something that I used to do subconsciously, especially working with clients, and that is that, well, learn copywriting, and you probably at some point you are told or you learn that you need to make people aware of what you do and the results that you get, because they're going to forget, and that's how you can kind of reinforce the value that you give them, which is completely true in a transactional world. You have to continuously brag about your results, brag about the things that you've done, so the client can reinforce the value that you're giving to them in terms of financial and monetary gains that they're getting as a result of your contributions. but it's not really a great way to do things. You know, now with the kind of clients that I want to attract into my business, they will be valuing the intangible things that I bring to the relationship, of treating them like a human and affirming their gifts and the way that in general I am towards them, rather than just the results. So in a situation like that, I would be in a position where I'm able to solve problems and help people without kind of bragging about it afterwards to them, because they value your full contribution. Whereas if you're operating in a completely transactional setting, you kind of have to tell people and seek recognition, because if not, someone else will. So I understand that from both sides. But serve without being in the spotlight. If you look at this from the context of working with prospects or clients, one thing here is just be generous with your time and your contributions to things. You know, if you're giving ideas out, remember, ideas are a dime a dozen. You may think you've got the best idea in the world and you may be apprehensive about sharing it, but the reality is that ideas are worthless without implementation. So if you can help someone solve a problem by giving them and sharing a few ideas, go ahead. I won't talk about that anymore because the video has gone on too long anyway, and I could explore that concept from both sides of the argument at length for hours. Okay, just a quick summary. Humble service to me is viewing the other person as someone who I can learn from, and going into the interaction trying to make everything about them where I can learn from them. It's number one, do unglamorous tasks and do the small things that nobody wants to touch. But if someone else is better suited at doing this task, have the humility to delegate to someone that can serve people that you serve into a better ability than your own. It's focus on making the life easy for the people that you work with and interact with by clarifying what you want and communicating it clearly and helping set up processes to make it happen. And it's when serving without seeking recognition, doing things for the benefit of others, share your ideas and openly try to help them. Okay, that's all. See you next time.